Hello, and welcome to Suitcase Disc by Disc, hosted by the Tin Can Laughter. I'm Ben.
I'm Dan.
Oh, finally, for the first time in a very long time, we have a new suitcase to discuss. It's
Woo!
Suitcase 4.
Yeah,
All right, so
exciting.
as is tradition, I must ask you, what do you remember about this album coming out?
uh, I don't remember a lot about this one. I think probably just because I was 5 years older and I was more, jaded
Hmm.
by that point. I didn't have the wide-eyed wonder like when Suitcase 2 came out. So that's that's like where you are right now. So
Huh.
you're gonna be like sorry, I went on a weird tangent.
Yeah, maybe. See, now it's your turn to do that. Um, like,
Oh,
would you prefer I talk about where I was when Suitcase 4 came out?
yeah.
Okay,
Tell us.
I remember. Well, because what I remember was it was the very well they hinted at this being announced because I think a magnet cover had been released and it said "Guided by Voices" on it, but it was 2015. There was no "Guided by Voices." So I think I must have
Oh.
said back. I think I probably said on Facebook, "Hey, who's willing to bet this is Suitcase 4?" And the Cutter, who wrote the little magnet article, and I think he'd already said that he knew what it was. He was like, way to announce that on the teaser page," and then as if to save face, he was like, "By the way, you're totally wrong." And I was like, "Okay, it's definitely Suitcase 4. He's trying to cover." Fair. I didn't mess with him much more after that. And I think that must have been like the first day of my junior year of high school because the second day of junior year of high school, I think they had announced it. They had announced Suitcase 4. They might have even announced, I don't know if they announced the track list yet though, but they announced that Suitcase 4 was a thing and it would be out in November because that was the day that I learned that the person who would be teaching me physics for the next 9 months was a Guided by Voices fan.
Uh-huh.
Second day of school. So after class, like before gym, I was like, by the way, they just announced their big outtakes collection if you're interested at all. And I hadn't heard the songs, but I think they had announced some of like the remakes. So it was like there's an older version of "Wished I Was a Giant," Echoes Myron. They might have announced that initially.
Hmm.
I don't remember what they announced. Dirty Water. Oh man.
Oh man.
And then when it actually came, like everyone I knew who lived in like Pennsylvania got it the Friday, and then I had to wait until the Monday. So there was a guy I know named Ethan, who's come up on this podcast a few times, had it the Friday, and so that whole November weekend, he would like send me samples every now and then and be like, "Dude, this is insane."
Oh man, cool.
So I remember I finally got it. And I listened to it all, and I listened to it all that day. I listened to the whole Suitcase that evening.
And that's
So
a yeah,
yeah,
that's a
so
fun experience.
yeah, so I will always have a soft spot for the Suitcase because I remember it being new.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Man, I feel bad. I don't know why I don't remember this one. I remember the magnifying glass and like using
Oh
that for
yeah, I love the
like the
magnifying glass.
first couple days, and then I was like, I put it away with all my other like trinkets, like buttons and stuff.
Yeah, like
Just a cool
it's
artifact.
yeah, it's just cool that it's there. I think this is also for the liner notes wise the return of songs having listed instrument credits. Yeah, no
Yes.
years, but it lists people.
Yeah, and the credits are sometimes enough to have like a
Dated.
general idea
Yeah.
of era. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I guess there's some other points I wanted to make about Suitcase 4 as a whole, but I think they'll be a bit more relevant on some of the later discs. Uh,
Okay.
we should probably get started on this disc, and so
Let's do it.
we will get started with lead
Oh
walking
man.
shorts, or man,
Lead walking shorts.
yeah, or
Yeah.
as others may recognize it, substitute heaven from Superman Was a Rocker,
Yeah.
but without the vocals. There's a running.
Yeah. So th- there's a hilarious part of the song where there's like a drum solo
Yeah, but it's
and
just
it's just like uh warped or brown enough to use Ween
God.
parlance. But Yeah, it's
Yeah,
great. And then
like it.
when they come back in,
Mhm.
it's pretty great.
Yeah. Now, my thing with this song is I do like it. As an instrumental, I think it's a bit long. Not that I think the
Yes.
aim for this was ever to really write a song. I think it's just Bob and
Yeah.
Mitch jamming. But listening to this, I kept singing to myself, "Substitute heaven, that's what
Yeah,
I
me too.
want."
Like, yeah, like that vocal is
Yeah,
so good.
great.
You really hear it when you hear
Yeah,
the
because
music. Yeah.
it's one of the standouts on Superman Was a Rocker. So you remember
Yeah.
that, and I certainly remembered it there. And I was like, man,
Yeah.
there's actually a you know what, I won't say it yet, but I think it's a good way to open a suitcase. I'll put it that way. As I like it as a track one,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's substitute heaven, and I know which version I prefer.
Yeah. Right
Yeah,
on.
plain and simple. Track two. This is a legendary track, actually. Walls and
Yeah.
Windows from Pissing in the Canal. But this would probably be one of the most recognizable Suitcase tracks because it's Hardcore UFOs from B1000.
Yeah.
But 10 years older, and it's like a normal love song instead of Hardcore UFOs or something.
Yeah. It's so pretty. Um, it's almost like there's this guitar line crystal clear on this one that I, is kind of it is in Hardcore UFOs, but just like distorted all to hell,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And I like that. I like kind of like wiping away the grime for a second. Be like, oh, like here's this like pretty
Yeah.
song, and then
You go to the
um
B1000 version, and it's like the lead guitar cuts out twice.
yeah, it's just so heavy and like I don't know, like by comparison to the original, it's like
Hmm.
shoegazy. It's just like like
Yeah.
wall of sound,
Well, I
and
don't know if
it's
I'd
like
say that.
overwhelming.
There's nothing on B1000 that's quite that. That's a bit more Titus, I think. But it's not this.
Yeah,
This is like clean. It's the
yeah,
aforementioned '80s Bob when he wrote straightforward songs. Weird
yeah.
times.
Always
There's a
good.
running theme on this disc where, in a sense, 17 of the 25 songs are connected to other released songs in some form, in some way.
Right. Yeah,
And
a lot of
so that's,
remakes or
yeah,
demos.
or just even a borrowed line or two. It's enough to take
Yeah,
notice. But this disc is like one of the most familiar discs in that sense.
yeah.
So
So cool.
if lead or lead Walking Shorts was Substitute Heaven and Walls and Windows is Hardcore UFOs, these were all older versions of songs that got remade in some form. We have the
Mhm.
inverse on track three, which is I'm in Shock, the first of 12 or I want to say, I think 14 tracks by Jonathan hyphen Jones. Yeah,
Oh wow. Okay, yeah.
14 songs by Jonathan hyphen
Yeah.
Jones, and the first one is I'm in Shock, Hit Me
The
with Tonic,
Hyphen Jones
which,
tracks, like
yeah,
those are a nice sub playlist of the
yeah.
Suitcase. Like the
And
one
I'm
with the
pretty sure, I think you mentioned it, that I'm in Shock is Glorified Ushers by Psycho and the Birds. But
yes.
it's also Hit Me with Shock by ESP Ohio.
Hit Me with Tonic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what I mean. Hit Me with Tonic and ESP Ohio B side. But yeah, it is
I
also,
was just thinking like Hit Me with Shock is an awesome
yeah.
title.
I think what hits me the most about this song is really just, I always forget that it's Glorified Ushers
Mm-hmm.
because it's the same music, it's the same kind of structure in a sense, but it's completely different.
Yeah.
It's like a
Like in my head I try to merge the two. I'm
it
like,
can't be done.
it can't be done,
They're
but
radically different while being somehow the
yeah.
same.
Yeah. So even though we did get a full band version with the ESP Ohio,
Hmm.
the the one I'm envisioning would be like the Todd Tobias on a Pollard solo LP, like how he would do that.
Yeah, I mean the Psycho version is kind of a good idea there. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
It
like there's that uh is it a keyboard line or is it a guitar line? I can't even.
on the Psycho version. I
Yeah.
don't know. I haven't listened to that in a while. I don't.
Yeah. It's
Ushers
like
isn't.
it's one of
I know
the
this better than Ushers.
yeah. It's it's one of like the least like together Psycho and the Birds songs, I feel like.
I thought it was one of the
Like
more together ones. That EP has some weird shit, but that Glorified Ushes is a bit more together, I felt.
you might well. I
There,
feel like
there's
melodically it is, but like
yeah,
performance wise,
yeah, maybe I could see that.
maybe. But yeah, good song.
Yeah. Um.
I wonder. I don't. I feel like this Suitcase 4 version
Mhm.
could have been like a normal happiness demo,
Hmm.
like just a hunch based on the era of like the Psycho and the
I
Birds
wouldn't say
stuff.
that. It sounds a lot newer to me. Bob's voice is a
Really,
bit deeper, I think. I kind of just assumed that the Jonathan-Jones tracks were, for at least not uniformly necessarily, but for the most part, recorded around the same time. I mean, at least five of them were.
I think so, but there are some outliers. This one
Yeah, I
feels
can
like an
think of a
outlier
few.
to
I
me.
don't know if I don't know if I think this is an outlier. There is one track that I think is an outlier, but it's not this one.
Mhm,
We have Deaf, Dumb, and Blind Girl, track 4, which is Bob
mhm.
Pollard and Nick Mitchell. And I think this was the first song they released from the Suitcase.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, and what I remember reading, I think, was that Bob had written eight, a bunch of songs, let's say, enough for an EP, and recorded them with Nick specifically for the Suitcase. And it was Bob on guitar and Nick on bass and drums, for the most part at least.
Yeah.
And the idea was to
And
do them as quickly as possible. I guess to, I
yeah,
don't
and
know, breathe.
I
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why.
I think it was Nick on drums
Hmm.
and Pollard playing guitar,
Yeah.
and it was like first takes.
Hmm.
Like the first time
Yeah.
they played the song together
Yeah.
was
Hmm.
the take, and then Nick fleshed them out with like bass and whatnot.
Yeah, and like some tracks have a bit more in the overdub department, but this isn't one of them. I think one of the tracks is on the Briefcase, which we probably won't discuss.
Oh yeah, it's a cool
Yeah,
one. Yeah,
but I always
this
remember
one
this being
is
first and thinking, huh, okay.
yeah,
I think
it's
what
it's
to say,
pretty
which
fun and energetic.
and it's short. It doesn't stick around very long,
Yeah.
but it's a nice little blast of rock. I think I've maybe indicated before that I would have liked some of those Bob on guitar, Nick Mitchell tracks to have been on Of Course You Are. Just because
Oh yeah,
I've been fairly vocal in some circles about not really liking that album, in a sense.
right.
And I think some of the demos of that album that appear in here, I think I like a little more. At least one or two, I prefer the demos, but I don't think any of
Yeah,
those tracks are on this disc. So that's sort of yeah, none of those tracks are on this disc. Wow,
interesting.
that'll be a matter to discuss a little later. By a little
Yeah.
later, I mean early in disc 2, but this isn't that. I don't know. I kind of thought I'd have a bit more to say.
It it's one of the least, or well, I don't want to say that.
Well, it's not. I
I
think
think I
it's
like most of the other tracks from this session better,
yeah.
but I do like this one.
I think it's a good. I think it's a good first one to have on a Suitcase. I think
Yeah.
it's the only one on this disc at that. So yeah, this just kind of sticks out in a lot of ways. It's almost not a very Suitcase disc because there's running themes across Suitcase 4, but they're not really here. There's like one Nick track, no Of Course You Are demos, no live tracks, and a
Hmm.
ton of remakes. Speaking of remakes, um, track 5, "Try Me On for Size," is Echo's Myron,
Yeah.
but like not weird at all.
Very, very breezy,
Polite.
light kind of version. Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Really
it's
emphasizes the poppy twee kind of melody.
mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think Echo's
Which
Myron was always a bit sort of very clearly one of the poppier tracks in a sense, but this isn't a version that's
it's
going to
true.
say, yeah. But this version isn't going to be the one that says shit, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's nice and gentle and
I'm pretty sure that's
wrong.
the reason Bob gave him the band name Rachel Twit. He
That
said
sounds
something
right.
about he's singing all kind of high pitched, and
Hmm.
that's just what I think of. Like he thinks it's almost like a hippie kind of song, or like just kind of cheesy. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, because it's nice. Because it's nice. Bob doesn't make nice. He does that. I guess potentially a little more abrasive. I was looking forward to talking to this one.
Oh man.
is No One Looking for You by Laserfinch, which features, I think it says it's a nose hair trimmer or some shit.
Oh.
I think that's what it said in the liner notes. Something only Bob would ever admit to putting on a song. Um, but it's just like a razor or something. And it just so happens that I guess when you turn it on, it plays at the F note. So Bob played a song to go with it.
Oh, is that right? It's in tune.
Yeah, it is in tune,
Nice.
and it's just
Um,
weird.
it's a good song. I don't even mind the annoying sound.
I don't think it's annoying. I think it's great. I love it.
Nice. Is this like the first song after the intro of Briefcase 4? I know it's on. It's right at the beginning.
I don't see. I
I
don't
don't think it's
have.
the first song.
I don't remember what's. I'm gonna pull up Briefcase 4 just because I don't really remember what's on it, but I think this is on it. This is track 2 on Briefcase. I always just something else I've noticed over time is Briefcase 4 is a really weird selection. Like
Yeah, there's some ones I would not have picked, but I have grown to love.
I'm just looking over it real quick. I genuinely don't know that I would have picked any of these. I think my Briefcase 4 would look almost completely different, which isn't a problem in any way. It's just like, God, I'm looking over this again, and I'm just like, these are some. I feel like I remember at the time there were some comments about. I could be making this up, but I seem to recall comments about how this was a really weird briefcase.
Mm.
Like Bob had gone out of his way to pick the strangest songs, and we'll be touching on some of those on this, in this episode, but more specifically, um,
Oh man, the next one is good.
ooh, this is the best song in the disc, and it's been remade several times. It's called Murphy Had a Birthday, and it's by The Crowd. Yes! The
Woohoo.
Crowd! The Crowd are here!
Love the crowd. The
Yeah.
crowd has 6, I think, songs
6.
on.
I want to say it's 6 on here. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 7 Crowd songs on here, and then an 8th as an old English Little League era
Junior Giant.
B-side. Yeah. So there are
Yes.
7 Crowd songs on here, and they're all great. And this one is called Murphy Had a Birthday, which I think Bob sings a little in the beautiful plastic film. Now,
Yeah,
if you,
that's where I 1st,
Mhm.
or probably most people first heard that song.
Yeah, because the
And
title doesn't show up in the lyrics, but the lyric, I mean, it was
yeah,
worse, I think. The song,
and the alternate title is "Today You're
Day
82."
2, yeah. I think there, was it 3 GBV songs, or Bob songs as a whole, that take a bit from Murphy Had a Birthday. So what I recall, at least, personally,
Mhm.
are someone on DTS way before I knew what Today or 82 or this at all was, said that it was Eureka Signs. I don't know that I hear that in Eureka Signs. Um,
Hmm.
More concretely, there were some bit closer to Suitcase 4's release because I remember Birds on English Little League, which was basically an Airport 5 track, used the melody for the verses, and then
Yeah,
more straight up, "Take Me to Yolita" on
uses
Faulty
like the
Superheroes,
bridge.
and it's like the only good part of the song. Man, I don't like slamming Bob, but the Murphy bits are the best part of that song,
They are the best
and
part.
they really stick out because to me, it's Murphy. It just becomes Murphy Had a Birthday, which is an absolutely incredible song.
The funny part is the part that I feel like the catchiest part is not the has not been remade.
Come
To
just
me, that yeah,
before me.
that's
Yeah,
like
I've
that's the part.
been
That's the memorable
waiting
part of the song
for
for
you.
me. But yeah, the bridge or kind of verse thing has popped
Hmm.
up in, like you
A
said,
few
birds.
times.
But but I think due to the nature of the writing of that song,
Yeah.
since Bob didn't write the music,
Hmm.
he matched that melody, but he kind of changed it for the
Yeah.
chorus, and
Yeah.
it became something else. It became, it's nice,
Oh,
but
yeah. Good call on the chorus. It's still come just before me. But
yeah,
yeah.
but it's not. It doesn't do that nice little
Hmm.
melody thing
Yeah.
because it fits the Tobin instrumental.
Hmm.
But yeah, so I feel like I mean, just like the track before it, or two tracks before it, with Echoes Myron. Excuse me. Um, what was I saying? Oh yeah,
Mhm.
I feel like this one could have been, it could have been a B1000 track or something,
Ooh.
reworked.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like it's that to me. It's that
I
good.
think it
It
would
has
be
that type of
specifically
melody.
B1000 because B1000 is like a lighter album next to stuff like Propeller, Titus, and say Alien Lanes. I don't think those could have fit with this. On a brief
Right.
tangent, and I'm keeping this brief because we have to move on. But it's just talking about birds again. That was my least favorite song on English Little League for the longest time. But I
Yeah.
really came around on it. Like that and Noble Insect, like the two of the three, those two Airport 5 tracks, basically. Because they're
Oh,
basically Airport
right.
5, took me a while to come around on. Copy Zero was always great, but the other two took me a
Love
bit
Copy
more to
Zero.
come around on. Yeah. It's good stuff, though. I think they're two of the best. Those three songs are three of the best, are probably better than most of the second Life Starts. They're better than Life Starts here.
Yeah.
But that's for
It'd be
another day.
cool to hear more of
Yeah.
that type of
Yeah. But
thing
that's
from
for
that era. But
yeah, but that's for the next podcast I do with Sash. Actually, it won't be on our next podcast. Um, Next we have "Living on Planet Cake" by Zeppelins of Gin. Planet Cake sounds familiar. Why might I know
yes,
this?
you might have the magazine.
Ooh, that's the newest Eat, right?
Yeah, it's the soundtrack is included with the book. It says the soundtrack to Cake, or is it the soundtrack to Living on Planet Cake?
Soundtrack to Planet Cake.
Yeah, and it's a collage as well, I believe.
Hmm. Is the melody in any of the songs in there? I don't remember.
Man, I'm sorry. I'm trying to clear my throat.
Huh.
Um, just what were we saying?
Is the melody on there at all? Just because it's the same
The
title.
the melody is on the EP. The whole thing with "Living on Planet Cake" pops up in one of the songs. Like you got what it takes. So that's cool.
Awesome.
This is this Sunflower Logic?
Yeah, that's something I forgot to mention earlier. Yeah.
Yeah.
In 2013, right as I had started to get into Bob's side projects, he announced something called Sunflower Logic, and it was a 5-song EP, and it was fucking weird, and it's still fucking weird. Almost 8 years now. But as I came to learn later, there was a full Sunflower Logic album recorded at one point, and Bob decided to trim it down to an EP, and a bunch of those tracks ended up here. They've also
Yeah.
ended up in other places, like "I'm Dancing Again" was a motivational jumpsuit B-side. "Igloo Hearts" was dressed up by Todd for "Honey Locust Honky Tonk."
Right.
And then I think the remaining songs ended up here, and there's a few on this disc and the other discs.
Yeah, I assembled the album. I
Ooh,
reconstructed it from
that's got to be an
my
interest.
best sources, and it's a good listen if you like the noisy,
Yeah.
very damaged
Oh.
side of Bob.
Mm-hmm.
That is,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
that's
some pretty out there stuff.
yeah,
Like, I don't think Circus Devils. It's a different kind of weird than Circus Devils, because it's more
yeah.
just full on abrasive noise, basically.
Like, didn't you say Circus Devils? Like, there's no accidents.
I
Like,
suppose.
didn't you say that?
Maybe. I might have said
I
that.
thought that was your quote. Maybe someone else said it.
I thought it was Todd Tobias
Like,
saying that Circus Devils was recorded. Jason from Constant Bleeder said that.
oh,
He said that about Ringworm Interiors.
right.
It's scary. It's
Yes.
scary because it's all on purpose. Yeah. Shout out
Oh,
to
man.
Jason over at Jason Hernandez at the Constant Bleeder. Holy shit, that dude is writing about like everything Bob Pollard's ever released, and I think he's on to
He is
2002.
such a good writer.
And it's incredible. And
Yeah,
everyone
he
listening
posts
to this
every day.
podcast has to go read those posts right now.
Totally.
He also
It's a good
writes.
read over
Yeah.
breakfast.
He also writes very insightful reviews on Rate Your Music. Yeah, that's Living on Planet Cake. We talked about everything but the song. It's a good tune.
It's a noisy, good song.
Yeah, it's good noise. It starts with a little like marching band sample, and then it stops being that as a really distorted guitar comes in. It's awesome. Uh, Great Service is next. I
Oh, I
like
like
that riff.
this one. Yeah,
I think it's a good song, but it's a great riff.
it's super great.
Mhm.
Um, I recently, oh geez, this song's like it's just a minute long too. It's like I
Mhm.
recently came around to the, I don't want to say came around, but kind of like the chorus of the song kind of hit me,
Mhm.
and he says like "I love you,"
Mhm.
basically.
Yeah.
Like it's a sweet sentiment, um, delivered in a very off kilter way,
That's Bob for you.
and that is Bob. Yeah. What's
Hey,
next?
Bob did us a great service by putting out a fourth suitcase, and
I'll
does it
say.
now by doing Hot Freaks. Next we have, I think one. This is something that I've noticed is that every suitcase has like a big revelation within it. Like you
Hmm.
end up learning history just by listening to it, and I think this is one of those tracks. It's called "Only Ghost in Town," which is a lyric from "Westward Ho" by Cosmos. But the biggest revelation is that it's a Psycho and the Birds version of Code Factory Zero.
Yeah.
Wow. I think,
Which what a great song.
yeah.
Very un. Well, it's a B. It's one of those B sides that was cut from definitely cut from like the beginning of the album, right? Like
I think I heard that somewhere that
those
Code
B
Fact.
sides were going to. So that was going to be like the opener
Yeah.
of Off to
Hmm. Yeah.
Business,
Which is
and
wild knowing that. I guess finish your point. Because I just noticed, I just
my point
noticed
is,
something about the way the suitcase is sequenced. Finish your point about that.
oh
I'm
yeah,
gonna tie
right,
this
right,
into
right,
another
right.
song.
Brilliant. What
Mhm.
was I gonna say? I just it's a very good song, and it's nice that we have two different versions of it.
Yeah, I really like this version. I think was it Davis probably said that this was recorded for All That Is Holy, but got cut,
Mm.
and then just waited 9 years to be released. Wow.
Was there really that? Oh,
I
you
think
mean
I think
yeah.
he said that Only Ghost was, despite Coat Factory being released in the same year as We've Moved. I think Davis confirmed this was for All That Is Holy.
Hmm, super cool. I mean,
Yeah.
it would have been one of the standout tracks on that album,
Oh,
which I love.
easily.
But I
Yeah.
wonder if Bob just said, you
I
know
think
what, this
he's,
is too good,
yeah, he wanted to
or
save
he
it,
had a plan for it.
and then it ended up as a B side. And
Yeah.
I have a mild rant about those two B sides, but I can't say it
Mhm.
yet because we have to talk about Teenage
Eight
Guitar,
bar.
8 bars, extension number 3. It is just straight up 8 bars of Meaningless Matilda by Teenage Guitar with a voicemail in the beginning. It's the
Mhm.
same song, and it's the same better version of Kiss the Quiet Man.
Oh, you like this one better?
Oh, loads better. I don't like Kiss the Quiet Man a lot because it just,
Interesting.
it
About the
just,
production.
no, the production is great. I just think that the lyrics are way more repetitive than they have any right to be.
Gotcha.
Whereas Code Factory Zero, like, because I don't, I've probably alluded to not loving Off to Business. Like, I really like it, but it just, there's something about it that it doesn't click for me. But Code Factory Zero clicks for me. That song's incredible.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's on Spotify, so everyone should go. I don't know, listen to it somewhere. Go
I
listen
don't
to
think it is.
everyone at home. Go listen to Code Factory Zero. Well, listen to Only Ghost first, then go listen to Code Factory and have your mind absolutely blown, and then go listen to Teenage Guitar, and you'll recognize the song because it's the same song. I didn't notice until today that the two songs were put together on Suitcase like they are on the Weatherman and Skin Goddess EP.
Yeah. It's a cool,
That's
cool
kind of
little
funny, actually.
connection.
I
Yeah.
kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they're two very good songs to put together, and they're so good, in fact, that I think Bob had to balance it out with track 12. Oh god.
This is the one where I went from like just kind of being like, well, I don't really want to listen to this again to like just kind of loving it.
Well, cuz it's
It's a
another
perverse
song,
sort of.
just worse.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
okay, so Carbon Whales is Bob Slushy and John Moen before Boston Spaceships, but after the takeovers, and it's those four pretending to be a 70s post punk band. And one of the tracks on that EP is called The Jeep. Out of my way, beep beep, and it's a really driving rhythm, and I actually really like that song.
Yeah.
So this song answers the question of how does Bob write melodies over other people's recordings? And well, that's one way to like I gotta be honest, No Bird is terrible. No Bird's really bad. But it's clearly not meant to be finished either. It's a work in progress.
Yeah. I think that's why Bob got a kick out of including those two of that era or that session.
And I think the only reason I like No Bird at all in any way, shape, or form is just because it's the Jeep, which is already great.
Yeah. This one was one because when I get a new Suitcase disc or really a new Bob album at all, I end up playing it a lot around the house. So this was one where I was self-conscious that my fiance would hear it and just be bothered by it because it's so annoying. And so I remember one time we might have been in the car or something, and I came on and I skipped it, and she was like, "No, don't skip it. Like, go back." Like, she wanted to hear it. Like, she loves it. So that made me kind of love it. I was just like, okay,
that's sweet.
Yeah, pretty sweet.
Yeah. I mean, again,
that can happen to me sometimes. Like, if somebody says they like a song, it just makes me be like, oh, wait a second, like, really? Like, let me hear, like, what am I missing? And then I end up like appreciating it.
Oh, I get that. Actually, I don't get that really. I'm a very singular music listener. Most of the bands I listen to, I found on my own.
You're very
I'm a weird fucker.
You're a weird.
I'm weird.
I was gonna say you have I feel like your opinions are stickier maybe than my opinions on a song. Like
I have bad opinions. That's what it is.
Yeah, but not just that, but also you stick to them.
Yeah, but then my opinions will change a lot over time. Like
okay.
That's not really a matter for right now. Maybe it'll be a matter later on the disc. I don't know. This quiet demo of Motor Away rocks. All right, I think we can agree on that. It is. Is it? Okay, you want a controversial opinion?
No, don't say it.
This is the best version of Motor Away.
Oh my God.
Yes! I'm going to make a lot of people really annoyed for saying that, but I don't care. This is the best version.
It does have something.
I'm going to say it again. This is the best version of Motor Away.
It's fine. I mean, it's great. I can't argue with you there.
Well, because this song does something that no other version of Motor Away does.
What's that?
Which is at the end when all the guitars kick in.
On to
another day, speed on. Yeah, on to another day. No other version of the song does that, and it's the best part of the song.
That's freaking cool. I mean, okay, so Motor Away is a Bob Toby song. I mean, this is.
I think those are probably
more.
Yeah, tonics
and this,
at the time.
But the Alien Lanes version, like that's
it's
very
a
rare
example
of a full band version
of a Toby instrumental.
Toby instrumental, yeah.
I think in Toby's own words is he's just impatient. And also just doesn't write as much as Bob, so when he gets an idea, he really wants it down as quickly as possible. Which is why like when the 6 2012 to 2014 albums, most of I'd say like all but maybe one or two of Toby's songs were just recorded by him on his own.
Right.
And I think a lot of those songs would have benefited from a full band. But
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. But I feel like this one, when I think Bob made this first. And then was just like, you know what? Like, this was really special.
Yeah.
I think this is the one of this type of song where he was like, you know what, let's re-record it. Because he didn't do that with a salty
Hot Freaks
salute
or Hot
or yeah,
Freaks.
hot freaks or anything like that. Those
Yeah.
are just as they are, and
Yeah,
they're
he
perfect.
heard something clicked and he said, "We got to do it
Yeah,
again." I think what's interesting
yeah.
is there's another demo of the song floating around out there, and I'm
Hmm.
convinced that that's the first version of the song because it has
Oh
this
yeah,
is this because it's the same vocal on both demos to a T.
is it?
And there's a loud demo that's a bit more less comprehensible, but it's the
Hmm.
same vocal. And I think it's why Bob's vocal isn't always in time with this version. Like it's a weird thing to
Hmm.
believe, but I believe that I don't doubt that Toby came up with the music and probably wrote the guitar part. But my belief is the loud demo, which is floating around somewhere, was recorded first. Toby recorded over the other instruments with clean
Hmm.
guitars, and then I would
Tracked
imagine,
them.
yeah, and then Bob looked at that and said, "Oh, we need to clean this. We need to make
Let's
this a
start
hit."
this from scratch.
Yeah,
Yeah. Huh.
yeah, I could see that. My point is that it's the best version of Motor Away, and it's great, and everyone should listen to it every day. Then we have The Garden by
Yeah.
Canoes. This is one of the. This is an oddity. Not because the song is
Yes,
weird.
it
The song
is.
is incredibly normal, because it was written by Toby's band, Figure Four.
Yeah.
And when Toby joined Guided by Voices and the band were recording various forms of Back to Saturn X and Corpse Like Sleep and Propeller, I think this was the second version of Back to Saturn X that was recorded in a studio. And Bob said, "Hey, Toby, your band wrote some good tunes. I'd like to sing two of those songs."
Is that what happened?
I have to assume, because I don't see why else they would have done that.
Yeah, I don't know.
The I Am a Tree of its time.
Yeah, true. And I think this was meant for a shit canned version
Of
of
Back to Saturn X.
Back to Saturn X. Yeah.
Yeah, and so then
So
there's
maybe,
there's three versions of Back to Saturn X basically. Like there's the original album, which is super lo-fi, and then the EP, and then they re-recorded a bunch of the songs in studios, and none of them made it onto albums, so they're all on Suitcase. There's a lot of them on Suitcase.
yeah.
Yeah, but this,
So I wonder if this song kind of like fit somehow with Bob's vision for the album, like,
mhm.
or
I th-
or if it was a case of like Toby saying like, I've got these songs, but I don't want to sing them.
yeah, like
Uh,
it's odd. I almost have a hard time imagining Toby singing this one at least, even though it's his song, he sang it.
yeah.
I would imagine originally first, but since like Figure Four don't have any live recordings floating around. I mean, even GVV don't really have any live recordings pre '93 floating around except the stuff that's on Suitcase.
Mm.
So it's weird.
Yeah, but there's one other like it on Suitcase 4. So that's
Yeah,
it's cool. They're good songs. I like them
yeah,
driving. They're very like
hmm
very good. Almost almost more polished than the that lineup usually gets.
yeah.
Like a little more
Well, because
hard
Mike Rep
hard edge.
Hummel didn't fuck it up. Yeah,
Oh,
and it's those hard driving rhythms that make Tobin Strat the AC/DC of indie rock.
that's right. That's what they call them.
Yeah, was that a Pitchfork article that called him that?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't love Toby's songwriting, but even that's a bit of a stretch. Eh, it's not an argument for right now, but it will be
I think the
continually referenced from here on out because it's just a whole.
exactly.
It's funny. So now we have. I feel like these pauses are getting a little longer. We need to speed this up. We need to
All
get
right.
excited. Happy
Oh yeah.
Heartbreaker. Yeah, this is like
It's good.
it's a perfect Suitcase demo because I don't know. I can't imagine this fleshed out, but as a 45-second demo, I think it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Is this Jonathan Hyphen Jones?
Better believe it is.
Heck yeah.
It's a nice little
Uh,
melody. Can't go wrong.
exactly. Everyone needs a little ditty now and again. So
Yeah, just a little. It's a little something. Never hurt no one.
mm-mm.
Anything else to say? Because we got something
No,
big up next.
got a big one.
All right,
This is one of the like
86 tracks.
more. Yeah, it's 86, which is the band name, not the year, because the year is 80.
80. I think it was Bob. Was it so? Dayton writer. I think he was like a news writer. No, Nick Weiser, who you may recognize from the fucking dog shit Vagabond Lover in Suitcase 3, or if
Oh
you have
God,
really good ears, is referred to in the intro to Crutch Came Slinking. Nick Weiser were
he
busted
does
good
what
at
he say.
that.
Nick Weiser
Yeah,
busted gut.
yeah, Nick Weiser would bust a gut. And I think John Dodson, who sort of
Yeah,
vanished from the Pollard sphere pretty early on. But those two were
yeah.
making a bunch of songs, and then asked Bob, "Hey, hey, I guess they knew he wrote songs. And they're like, hey, we'd like you to be a part of this." And so Bob came in with stuff like Less Active Railroad, which I think
And
someone said might be about his dad.
quality of armor.
Yeah, Quality of Armor later on here. But the interesting thing about Less Active Railroad is that it evolved over time into Wished I Was a Giant from Vampire and
Dun, dun,
Titus.
dun. Yeah. Oh man, what a great version. I mean, it's not the same song, but just
Yeah.
the melody of the verse. And
Hmm.
I really like Bob singing on this. The lyrics are pretty
Yeah.
cool.
I like when
And it's
Bob's.
got, oh yeah.
Well, the two things I think are of most note here are there's a section in the album version of Wished I Was a Giant where it's where there's no vocals and that's like the last minute of the song. There are vocals
Yeah.
here, and I think that's an interesting contrast. And second,
That
is in
is
this.
interesting. You
Yeah.
can kind of hear
Hmm.
like the lost chorus or
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, the chorus
Honestly,
wasn't reused at all, but I think the big thing is in the second verse, Bob's voice jumps an octave with no warning.
as
I love that.
it's pretty great. Yeah. So yeah, that's it'd be fun to hear more of this kind of
Yeah.
era of Bob. I think one other track that we have is Man of Dimension, which we talked
I've always
about.
assumed at least. Although it sounds a lot better than
There's
this does. It sounds loads
there's
better
a
than this does.
yeah, there's a track listing somewhere,
I think
or
yeah.
just like a
There's
list
like
of
an
some
article
songs
over
in the repertoire.
songs.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look it up real quick because it mentioned these songs I think, but it mentioned some other
But
titles. Yeah, all right. I
yeah.
found. Wait, hold on. I found something in the Google Books version of Closer You Are, which makes me feel really silly because I own this book and I could just go get it. Is it even?
Same.
It does note in the book as I'm reading it online here that it says Bob only kind of wrote songs, mostly a cappella compositions, but he told Nick Weiser that he, wrote. And it said that, and it also dictates that Bob wrote Quality of Armor as a bit of an audition piece for 86.
Oh, interesting.
And then says that someone made the band members buttons and said, "Oh yeah," on them for Quality of Armor. But that's a little later.
I'm due for a reread of Closer You Are. I think I've read it twice, 2 or 3 times, but
Mhm.
I was just eyeing it on the shelf. So just a shout out to Matthew Cutter, for
Mhm.
writing an awesome book. The definitive GBV history.
Hmm. Yeah. It's funny reading the book now. I mean, I don't want to like just read Cutter's book for the podcast. But it but it sort of hints that of the other two band members, like Bob was bringing in a ton of songs, so he was bringing in stuff like Less Active Railroad. Nick thought Bob's ideas were really weird, and John actually liked what he was bringing to the table. Where's what we need? All right. The titles. Um, they were looking for a drummer, but they didn't have one, so they used a drum machine, I guess. Sometimes the songs are "Panic on Landlord Street," "Man of Dimension," "Eyes in the Back of My Head," "Symptoms of Conversion," "Treadmill," "Less Active Railroad," "Quality of Armor," "The Unidentified Side," "Charity Ends at Home," and "Nobility Outbreak."
Oh man, there are so many songs we have not heard.
Yeah,
or we've heard and we don't realize it because they
That's
were
possible.
repurposed.
Always possible. And then that's the end of the book talking about 86 and it
Man,
starts talking about other shit.
stuff.
All right, I think
Porpoise. Somebody on the forum had a story about they went into a restaurant, you know, and the server was like, "Oh, since
oh,
you're the first
I
people
knew
here
someone
this
was going to
evening,
say
you
this.
get to pick the music."
I
And the guy was like,
think it was Citizen
"Oh, okay,
Fighter.
sure, play some Guided by Voices." And so the person goes on Spotify and hits shuffle on all GBV,
Yeah, and
and
this came on first.
the first or second song is
First song was
Porpoise
Porpoise
Northeast.
Northeast. And I think what I remember the post saying was, once I realized what the song was, I was like, oh, I think he was just like, ah, shit. Let's see how long we go before they kick us out. And it didn't take very long.
Yeah,
I'd
the
imagine
person like
once,
ran.
yeah, once the loud guitar kicks in, it's like, ah, this is sludge. This is
This
three and a
is
half minutes. This is just, oh man. I I'm at a point in my life where things fly by a little faster than they used to, so I can tolerate this song a lot more now than I could when I was 16. But God, it's brutal,
Is this the
slightly
really creepy
punishing.
one? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. This is almost like it almost has the same vibe as a Circus Devil song, or like one of Bob's creepier,
yeah,
like
Nightwalker
Tomorrow
maybe.
Man.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's just, but there's like no, there. It's not bright at all. It's just murky.
It's
I don't want to
very
I don't want to say brown because I don't want to compare Bob to Ween, but I can't really think of a
we
better word.
yeah, yeah. It's a very sinister song.
Yeah, it's
Noisy,
evil.
abrasive. Yeah.
It's weird.
Cool though.
All right, we have a lot of
Yeah.
songs we still have to talk about.
All right.
I feel like we spent a lot of
Oh
time talking
man.
about 86, and now we have to speed things up a bit.
I'm just going slow tonight. I am
That's fair.
having a very earlier at work today. I just could not stop yawning. I was
Oh man,
just. It's one of those days. I'm
you know what?
so
That's fair. Stuff happens. It's been
yeah.
a weird week. It's gonna be weird
And
for a
we are
while.
Yeah, it's been a week, so
Yeah, so it's
yeah,
like,
we're lagging time wise, I think, but
you know what? I don't really
we
care.
me
I
neither.
kind of
We can
care, but it's like, eh.
uh,
I mean, I think the rest of the disc from here will be easy enough to talk about.
yeah.
But we have to talk about the first of the three Human Possible songs, Pretty Pinwheel. And I think
Yes.
we have to really now discuss Randy Campbell. We're gonna be here
Yeah,
another few minutes talking about one song, but we have to talk about Randy Campbell.
absolutely. Sadly passed away recently, a month or two ago.
Yeah,
And
sometime in December.
yeah, but one of Bob's oldest friends, and
I think they were quarterbacks on their quarterbacks.
yeah,
They were teammates on in their high school football team.
yeah, and a very colorful and um, memorable friend of Bob's, who actually has some writing credits on GBV stuff.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Um,
I think big fan of the
we
Pig
heard some of the
Pen
songs on the last
Suitcase.
Suitcase.
Yeah. So Randy, what did Randy do? Randy was involved with a bunch of Nightwalker stuff. I think. Like, I hear him on. What do I hear him on? I hear him on. Well, big fan of the Pig Pen is Guided by Voices. Damn Good Mr. Jam is Guided by
Yep,
Voices. But I think he did Weird
yep.
Rivers and Sapphire Sun. I think I looked up the other day just to see what Randy's credits were in BMI, and I think it pulled up a, Lucifer's Aching Revolver, one of the
Yeah, I think
all
you're right.
time Bob
Yeah,
Pollard sleeper hits, and like
yep.
Grope from Suitcase too, maybe an Acid Rain
Oh
song
man,
or two. He's all over the place, but he's always been there. He's always been his presence is felt over time.
for sure. And he's on the back cover of Vampire on Titus. He's the
Right.
guy standing next to Bob.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the I guess a rare chance for us to hear one of his songs with Bob on guitar and recorded alongside I think the second teenage guitar album, or at least in the same studio. It seems like a similar
It's the same.
setup to
It's
me.
Cybertechnics.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's yeah, that's cool. And I actually talked to Randy one time at Heat Fest, and he told me about this one, and he said it's got the most beautiful guitar playing that he's heard. He was like, Bobby played the most beautiful guitar, and I find that really sweet. It's it's a it's a touching song.
Yeah.
It's not anyone's like, I don't know. I love it. It's charming.
Yeah.
It's like it's a ballad,
It's a perfect
and
Suitcase track.
yeah, it really is.
Yeah. So rest in peace, Randy Campbell, and we'll be bringing him up again because
Yeah,
he keeps coming up.
yeah. We're gonna hear
He has a really
a few
good
more.
track on the second. There's a really good Randy track on the second
Oh
disc.
man, yep. I'm excited about that
I'm
one.
gonna preemptively put that in my little important songs playlist because it's too good to not be in there. But we'll get there later. All right,
Yeah, right on.
moving on. We have an interesting stretch now where 6 of the last 7 songs are all like connected to other songs. There's one that isn't. So this was only
Oh,
loose.
yeah.
But Back to the Diving Board is another Circus Devils outtake. This is odd because when Fire King was on Suitcase 3, it was discussed that it was the only Circus Devils outtake, and then this got found.
Yeah,
And I think
that leads me to believe. Oh, what were you gonna say?
I feel like the discussion had been that Back to the Diving Board was a Harold Pig outtake, but it has the same
Hmm,
audio glitching that Fire King does, so I'm not sure.
weird.
I don't know what Back to the Diving Board was recorded for, but it's an older track. It's been acknowledged to be an older track.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest that maybe Todd didn't know about it because maybe Bob just did it and never developed it further. You know, like sent it back or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Like almost like this is a Bob demoing
It's too clear for
over
that. I mean,
a
I
Todd
mean,
instrumental.
besides the audio glitching, there's too many like overdub
Well,
vocals for that. I
you know,
think this
Bob
was recorded in the
Bob
studio.
playing a Tobias instrumental and then like
Mm.
singing like into the tape deck,
I
maybe.
don't think it's that. It's too clear. Audio glitching aside,
Huh.
the clarity's too. It's way too clear for that. I think this was like recorded in the studio, and
Okay.
then it just didn't. I guess Bob wasn't feeling it. I mean, it's an odd track because it's 4 minutes long, for one thing, but there's no like vocal hook. Not that Circus Devils needed those, but I almost wonder if
They,
because it's for Todd, it's a more straightforward instrumental coming from him, but Bob's vocals
hmm,
don't align with that at all. And I wonder if I don't know. I can't really speculate too much. I can note that I counted this as a recycling bit because Bob sings the line "Pre-med's a trip," which if you're a
oh, nice.
GBV fan and you don't know that line, oh, you've got homework.
Oh, that line has cropped up in
So
several.
much,
Yeah.
so often. It's a good track
So,
though. I do really like it.
me too.
Yeah. Should we move?
This next one has a Circus Devils tie-in
Yeah. This
as well.
this one made me trip hard when I listened to it because Nelly Scully on Capsize is one of my favorite Circus Devil songs.
Yeah.
And so hearing Mary in the Summer and it's like, wait, I know that title. And then Bob is playing something and then he starts singing Nelly Scully. It's like, oh God, it brings me life. And it's kind of a weird tune on its own, but I guess understanding what it became, I think that's what the value in it is it
It's
evolved
cool.
into Circus Devils.
Yeah. It's an example of Bob taking a demo that he's done and kind of grafting that melody onto a new
Another instrumental.
instrumental.
Yeah, and he does that a lot. I don't um none left on this disc, but it is a commonality across the Suitcases. Next we have another crowd track. Another crowd track. It's called Eloise, and
Eloise.
it's Wrinkled Ghost. That's a weird one.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone would have seen that one
And
coming, but it's Wrinkled Ghost from Waved Out.
well, yeah, I mean that's another one. I mean, I love Wrinkled Ghost. That's an all-timer. That's one of Bob's
Mm-hmm.
like just most joyous melodies.
Yeah,
It's just
I could argue about Wrinkled Ghost all day because there's another version of the song that's floating out there that
oh
isn't
yeah,
on Waved
the
Out
demo.
that I
I
think
know you
is
like the demo.
yeah. I think the demo in D rather than C is bona fide one of Bob's best recordings ever, and the waved out version doesn't do it. It's good.
I like
It sounds a bit
I
more like
like them both.
this. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's a
personally,
good
I like the
tune.
waved out version because it's got that Toby 4-track sound, and
True. Yeah. I mean, it's his 8 track that he uses on like Mag Earwig and I think Moonflower
yeah,
Plastic or
yeah.
something. I don't know.
But you know how I said for Murphy has a birthday or
Hmm.
Murphy had a birthday, like that could have been remade into a B thousands
I don't know
song.
about this one.
Like, no, I was gonna say. I mean, I think Regal Ghost is it. I mean, I think that's
Hmm.
a great example, like of a crowd
Oh,
track
true.
turning
Yeah.
into
Something
like an all
something
timer
else. Yeah. I'm with
for
that.
me.
All right.
You
The
know,
last.
giving it like that lyrical and almost like instrumental overhaul just
Mhm.
enough to like nudge it into like greatness. So I feel like Eloise is just so simple and poppy and almost like early like rock and roll.
Yeah.
Um,
Kind of. Yeah.
with Wrinkle Ghosts is like just a lot more powerful,
Yeah.
a lot more abstract and like not really like I've never heard that one and thought it sounded like it, like an early Beatles song or whatever.
Yeah.
Or yeah,
Hmm.
so
All right.
I
We
don't know.
have
I like
four
that.
songs left. The last more self-contained track on the disc is called "Here to Stay" by Abigail French, which I think I read that Bob gave those songs the Abigail French artist tag because he sang it in a very high falsetto in those songs.
Oh,
Yeah. There's another Abigail French track. Hold on. Okay, there is. Yeah, okay, I found the other one. It's on disc 3, so we're not there yet.
which one's that?
It's called Finger to the Lips.
Oh yeah.
We'll get
Oh
there
yeah.
later.
Here,
We will get
forgot
there.
about this one.
Yeah, that's for a
Just
later
makes me
disc. We
think
can't
of
tangent too much. It's
Rainbow Billy.
yeah, it's super acid ranchy. Probably from that time.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Speaking of super acid ranchy, I'm never sure how to feel about this one, but right now I've decided I like it. It's track 23. It's called "She It."
Shit.
She It, and yet it's "I'll Take the Cure."
Yeah.
Another Bob Pollard, absolute, unmovable all timer. And it's this. This is "I'll Take the Cure."
Yeah. I think this is a Bob or a Pollard Brothers composition. I think
uh,
we got Jimmy and
do
Bob.
I have it? It is. It is R. Pollard, J. Pollard. I forgot that I had all the songwriting credits in iTunes. I always forget whether or not I do that. Yeah, but it is. It is absolutely that.
I remember reading that we all got out of the army had um, a lot of riffs and old
Yeah,
ideas.
well, because two of the tracks, I think Rice Shit and Red Pyramid, have Jimmy co-writes, so it was probably then put together the same way that From a Compound I was put together, at least
Yeah.
to a degree. All right, we have two songs left. The next one, is a Hallway of Shatterproof Glass, which is I believe has been confirmed to be a Propeller outtake.
Yeah, with Don Thrasher and
Yeah,
drums.
yeah, and it just also sounds like that. But it became two songs. Be it became Pink Drink, which became Beyond Beneath a Festering Moon, but it also became
Hmm.
Goldheart Mountaintop Queen Directory.
Yeah, how crazy is that?
Yeah,
A full band version that has a section that is not in Goldheart, but that's the
hmm,
section that became Pink Drink.
yeah, and it's just like it's wild to think that two completely different songs started in the same place. The flag got smashed.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, it's wild like that. You can never predict what Bob's gonna do with a song. Like if he doesn't like it, well, where
Yeah.
does it go? Like there was another
Yeah.
Propeller outtake on an older Suitcase called Home by 10, which which never fails to brighten up my day, and that got remade on August by Cake.
Yep.
The version of which almost brought me to tears when I first heard it because I couldn't believe Bob had remade it. But
Oh man.
yeah, this song is like classic lineup lore basically. It's
Yeah.
the text by which all else is based, and that's not really true, but enough came out of it.
For sure.
Yeah, and it's funny. It shares a band name with the track on Suitcase too.
Oh really?
It shares Christopher Lightship with Are You Faster. The two songs have absolutely nothing in common except that Bob's on them.
Except they were both. Oh wait.
They're both Bob, and that's it. That's the only thing that those two songs have in common.
I was gonna say, "Are You Faster" was mashed up with "I Am Decided"
To
by
become
the
an Am
Am.
song, yeah, that's a bit of a stretch though. And this isn't the disc with I Am Decided on it.
It's a
More on that in a
stretch,
week.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a stretch. And I think we have one more song.
Yeah.
Is it weird to say
Government.
this is one of my favorites on the disc? I could not tell you.
No.
I could not tell you why, but Government Building 15. Oh, this is the
Is this
stuff.
one
This is
that's
what
like?
lucid dreams are made of.
I think it was the first
Sun
song recorded in
for
Bob's sadly short-lived home studio.
Public Hi-Fi Balloon. I read.
Yeah.
Well, there's two things to note about the song. The first is that a bit of it was reused in the Rick and Wiki track "Come Into My Wig Shop."
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And then the second is, and that's the remake part of it, is I think what I read on the board was that Bob wanted to record, I think the Sunflower Logic stuff, like not even Teenage Guitar, Sunflower Logic with a reel-to-reel machine, and he found one, and he bought it, and he recorded this song, and they got it somewhere, and then the machine stopped working completely.
Oh.
So they used that machine for exactly one song. And it's right here.
And it's great.
And it's like it's indecipherable. Like what are you supposed to do with that track? But it's great.
Yeah.
Haunting.
Very abstract.
Haunting
Yeah, it sounds
brilliance. It's funny because it was realistically just a test recording.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's great at that. All right, I think that's the end of Suitcase
Somehow
4.
pulled it off.
Yeah, and it's not even one of our. It's still not as long as the Suitcase 2 Disc 3 episode, which isn't the longest either, but it's up there. So we recovered okay. I imagine next week will be a bit higher energy because next week, oh man, I might listen to next week's disc tonight because I'm that excited about it. It's another one of my sort of like all timer discs. Like I look at the list and I get really excited.
Yeah, me too. I want to hit play right now. I'm like, yeah, Lockets of the
Yeah.
Empress. Song rules.
Yeah. All right. There was an observation I made to myself, and I didn't write it down while we were working on this disc. Something for the covers album. And I was gonna like, oh, I remember. Okay. I think we'll stop recording the podcast here.
Okay. Good night.
Take care, all you listeners at home. Take care.
Next week.
All right.